Welcome to another Pneuma conversation, a raw, authentic, unfiltered conversation with spiritual teachers, leaders, coaches, and healers. Get to know who we truly are beyond the polished world of interviews, social media, and podcasts. We are not perfect, and we struggle too. Join us as we share our lives, our challenges, and meaningful discussions and conversations on healing, transformation, and the future of humanity. Today, we are in conversation with my friend Craig Ballin. Craig, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for
I'm
having me.
already, what's that?
Thanks for having me.
Of course, thanks for coming. I'm already making mistakes this morning, so it's okay. It's part of the show.
Absolutely. Show must go on,
It
right?
must go on. Exactly. Absolutely. Oh, my friend, you have been one of those friends. We all have one of those friends that every once in a while we need a kick in the ass. And you have been one of those friends for me, as you know, because you know my heart, you know the dreams that I have and the things I want to achieve. And there was a time in my life where I just was not making it happen. One, I didn't know how, but two, I just wasn't doing it.
I
It's a
mean, yeah,
combination of both. And
yeah.
so you want to talk a little bit about that as we get started? And I,
I mean,
I mean it as a very loving kick in the ass. It wasn't a
and it was a loving kick in the ass,
yes,
the multiple times. But
yes.
I think, giving ourselves grace because
Yeah,
majority of us don't live in our purpose, don't live doing
mm,
what were our intentions, or using the gifts God gave us, right? I mean,
yes,
it's scary. It's very scary to live our purpose, to even try to pursue our purpose. It's very scary. So I
yeah,
think it's very easy to see people from an outside perspective, a ton of people with so much talent that they'll never go and do what they probably really could do if they believed in themselves, if they looked at themselves the way God looked at them. We Society beats us down. We beat ourselves down even harder. And I think it's just we find a safe little tiny corner to live a mediocre life.
yeah, yeah,
And this is the best I can do. I'm paying my bills. Maybe I have a roof over my head, but here's my safe spot, and
mm-hmm.
it's so scary to branch out. So, I mean, yeah, I saw you, your heart, your potential. I'm just like, dude, yeah, get uncomfortable. Get uncomfortable. Don't be afraid to fail, and just
Yeah,
you're supposed to be supposed to be a little more daring and go. And I
yeah,
love you really took on all the things I threw at you.
yeah. Well, I was already uncomfortable with life as it was, and so it's like so there wasn't so much fear in getting a little bit more uncomfortable. It was just I didn't know what I was doing, and some of those kick in the asses, it gave me direction with it too. It wasn't like, oh, just get up and do it. It was, well, do this and this, and that's what was helpful. So, because so many times we get a kick in the ass from our friends, but they're not giving us suggestions, they're not giving us advice.
Yeah,
You added advice, you added counsel, and it was very, very helpful. Now I'm far removed from the very, very, very first thing that you ever were you were encouraging me to do, but it's led me to here.
yeah.
And there are different aspects from that what I'm doing, or I'm sorry, similar things that from then that I'm also doing now. So there's been a constant theme in a way.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So Craig, one of the things I love about you is that um, I'm going to use my words. Since we ever met, you've had your shit together, and
Mm.
I've admired you for that. It appears you've had your shit together,
Yeah.
like, and after reading your book, we're gonna plug your book in a minute. and we're going off script, which is totally fine. But I got to really see who you are reading your book, and at a very young age, you traveled in your 20s, and you made connections in your 20s that most people don't even make in their 20s, and I've only made in my 30s and 40s. And I mean, I'm reading your book going, holy cow. Some moments I'm going, did I screw up? Did I make a mistake? I had to put all that aside because that was your journey that you were sharing, not mine. And we all have different journeys, but I love I loved reading all of that. And so maybe we could just back up a second, because your life in Texas is what brought you to that book. It's what brought you to traveling and everything else. So maybe you can share a little bit about that with us.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I grew up in Texas, and uh, I think everybody has parents that didn't get a guidebook, right? Parents are
Yeah.
winging. So my parents did the best they could, but they always say your main goal is just not to screw up the kid, right?
Mm.
But
Yeah.
I think every adult is like will raise their hand and say, I definitely got screwed up.
Hmm.
So my upbringing was interesting, and I definitely had a roof over my head, had food, um, and very little to complain about in some aspects. Other aspects there were some rough things that were real, and hard. Uh, so growing up in Texas was a great thing, but it also led me to see at an early age life's not fair. Um,
Mm.
you're dealt with the hand, and just like in poker, you can't you know just walk away. You're already in, and whatever cards you're dealt, you play with. And
Hmm.
there's a reason why there's amazing poker players. They are
Yeah.
dealt good decks and bad decks.
Hmm.
There's a strategy, just like in life. It's how you use the cards you're dealt with.
Yeah.
Um, and I love the part, make your mess your message. Don't just feel sorry for yourself. Use it. Become more empathetic towards people. If you've experienced something, great. It's
Hmm.
going to help you. And I think
Are you familiar with Alan Watts?
Alan Watts, that sounds familiar.
He is a spiritual teacher, big in the 60s and 70s, author. Uh, he was more Buddhist in his teachings. Um, but there was a recording I listened to him just the other day, talking about that very thing, about the cards we're dealt with in life. And I don't remember his exact words, but he said basically never look at the cards you're dealt with and say, "Oh, I got a bad hand." Ask, how can I use this deck of cards that have been dealt to make my life exceptional? They're exceptional.
Yeah.
Wholly different way of asking the question, and approaching your deck. Because I mean, even when you're playing, really literally playing cards, you don't always get a great deck, but it's how you play it.
It's how you play it. And again, like I said, there's a reason why there's poker pros.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think they get bad deck after bad deck after bad deck, but somehow they still figure out how to climb that ladder and win most of the tournaments. And when,
Yes.
they were to play me, I'd probably have, a flush and it'd still beat me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's one thing. And we just, in Texas, it was a great upbringing, but there was a lot of things that pushed me to different directions. And Frank, my teenage years, I kind of went off to, I think, uh, right choice first, wrong choice. Coming to society, treating people, 99% of the time was always doing the right thing. Uh,
Okay.
that was not the bad direction I was going. The bad direction I went was probably abusing myself, not knowing how to internalize um, death, not knowing how to internalize emotions, and a lot of things that I experienced when I was younger. So I, found alcohol at an early age. And some people are like, oh yeah, I drank in high school. I'm like, no, I was the guy that would go to Sonic and fill up his cup and go back
Oh,
to school. With
wow.
and in my English class, I would be sipping, um, you know, Everclear, not vodka, not, but Everclear and stuff. So yeah, it's interesting. But that led me to a good point where I decided to jump off of the conveyor belt. And we don't have to go
Mm,
into that, we can get into that later, but yeah, that
yeah,
led
yeah.
me to leave everything behind and go travel.
And that was that right before college or in the middle of college that happened?
It was at the early stages of college.
Okay.
And my book kind of talks about it. I was, at a frat party. I was not in the fraternity. I had a lot of friends in two different main frats at
Okay.
the University of Texas. That school does know how to party. Those fraternities have a lot of money, and you're talking about, what you could just imagine, and you see on movie scenes about these parties that it's literally like that times 10. You're talking about budgets that are in the tens of thousands of dollars for one party. Anyways, there was a mechanical bull in the living room of the frat house. There was a barber chair. You'd get pushed back on the barber chair and have drinks down your throat, and same with the bull. But I looked around, and I was a really good student of partying. I was a
Mm,
very bad student of school. Um, and I just, for some reason, and, I've stayed away from the words of like, I heard God. Um,
mm,
but I mean, call it what you want. We all have an internal soul in us. Some call it the Holy Spirit, but we were ingrained with a voice.
yes.
And there's some people just say it's intuition. Um, something, and nor was I super touched with it, but some things, just spoke out to me, and I didn't want another drink, which was weird. And
Mm,
kind of just said, you don't want this lifestyle. It'd be easy for me to continue this path, graduate with bad grades, graduate with a degree I have no idea what to do with, and be ungrateful like half of these guys, and continue down the conveyor belt of society and just walk the walk and probably be a person I just don't like. Um, somehow that voice, just said, you know what, you need to get away. As I was like, tried bartering with this, like, okay, yeah, let me finish college. It's like, no, like you need to get away. Like you need to jump off this belt, this track, this road that you're on. Okay, I'll do it after this semester. I
mm,
kept trying to barter with, to me, I just read a great book by Ed Rush. It's called God Talks. Uh,
okay.
Excellent book. Highly recommend it. And it's literally just finding space and time to not pray, not just pray, but literally have conversations with God and start
Mm,
practicing on hearing his response. Reading that some 30 years later from that voice, I'm like, dude, that's awesome. Like God, kind of intervening. It's just like, no, change the route.
mm,
Bartering. Okay, I'll do it after the semester. It's like now, now, now. And I was like, well, how do I do it? Get away. And eventually it's just like, you're going to go travel and you're going to travel now. And that
mm.
kind of led me to doing the most scary thing. And we will make a million excuses not to do what
Oh
God is
yeah.
telling us to do. We've heard the guy hanging from a cliff saying, God, please save me, save me. Or a guy in the water saying, God, please
Mm.
save me. And a Coast Guard drive fly, or he's like, no, God will save me. You know,
Yes.
another airplane comes up. He says, no, God's got me. And then he finally drowns. And he's like, God, why didn't you save me? I think, again, there's so many times we hear our voice or
Mhm.
hear his voice, hear what we need to do. We just, it's way too scary to take that
Yeah.
leap of faith and we just don't do it. Gently, I did it at that time.
What what made you choose the journey you chose to travel? I mean, you did the European Euro train and hopped on the train and went from town to town. What made you choose that one as opposed to something else?
I mean, at the time, this was like early 2000. Literally, it had actually we hadn't even hit 2000, so it was like 1998, 1999. Man, I'm dating myself. But at the time, travel wasn't as popular and safe. And in my head,
Mm,
when I think backpacking, I think back then, nobody really thought of Vietnam, Thailand, Asia, or South America.
right.
So I was just uneducated and looking for, I guess, a place. And to me, that was like the obvious, or maybe even the only answer at the time. So
Okay.
Europe seemed to especially the easiest way to get around once you're there.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, people are gonna have to get the book if they want to find out exactly where you traveled to. So there, because there's because of the timing of the the time constraint of our show, there's certain
Yeah.
things I want to talk about. So the one of the places I want to talk about is the Camino de Santiago because my audience knows I've done it 6 times, and one of the places I love in the world. And I, even though you and I have never traveled the Camino together, I consider you my Camino buddy, and not just in the Camino itself, but the Camino of life. You're my Camino buddy, and um, uh, so talk a little bit about that, your experience on the Camino, because everyone's is kind of similar but also different in a way.
Yeah, yeah. So I think I had just read a book and it was called The Camino um, by a famous actress and Shirley. I'm gonna
Shirley
butcher.
MacLaine.
Yeah, there you go. And you know, again, talking about moments where God just helps us. I wasn't a
Mm,
reader, but and this was probably 2 years before my trip. I was in Barnes and Nobles, and I'm just looking. I don't know why, and again, not a reader. And for some reason, I picked it up. I looked at the back. I read the back, and it spoke to me. And I got it. I think I had just finished reading The Alchemist,
oh yeah,
and then after that, I had just finished reading what's his name in Alaska, Call of the Wild. No,
called what? Yeah, yeah.
the one they made a movie. He dies in a bus.
Oh, yeah. I, I can't
It'll
think
come
of it.
it'll come to us, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
else
yeah, yeah,
like duh. But
yeah, yeah.
so I was on this little trip of people exploring, going out, venturing, and it was a good progression to that book. And
Hmm.
I think all these were planting in my head that, man, here's one person, the alchemist in El Camino, that did it. Obviously, fiction. Then here's a nonfiction of a kid, obviously died. Not good ending, but still I admired that he dropped out of college because he wanted more
Mm,
and he was trying to find humanity and spirituality. Here's Shirley MacLaine, and here's an actress who put herself through the Camino uncomfortably because she wanted more.
mm,
So it was all planting these seeds by God, and getting into my head. And I think when I went, I was one, getting away to travel, and that book always resonated. And I was like, man, I'm going to be in Europe. I'm going to be very close to it. I could do it. And I start thinking about it. And while I go over there, I don't commit until, while I'm further in. And to be honest, running out of money. Um,
mm.
but I think it really intrigued me. And talking about a spiritual boot camp,
Mm,
where
yeah.
you can just really get lost and focus on things, the noise, you can get lost from all the noise that society attacks us with. And so it really intrigued me. I was like, this is the medicine I need. This is the healing I need. And again, going back to talking with God, walk in 30 plus days by yourself. I, I think if you open, you'll listen. If you talk to him, and
Yes.
hopefully you're not, just walking. But yeah, I mean, I think every single pilgrim starts finding himself thinking, pondering, talking, questioning. Um, and if you give it time, you'll start hearing the answers. It's pretty amazing. And that's
Yes.
what led me there to my pilgrimage is um, it was right before the time it got really popular, overly popular.
Hmm.
I was also lucky to do it um, in the dead of winter. I should say
Yeah.
lucky and unlucky. I wouldn't see souls for 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
They have the little telephone wire that they know a pilgrim's on the trail. Um, they would, sometimes I'd get to these the little not hostels, but the pilgrim places you could stay, and somebody would have at least got there before me because they knew I was there. The people in charge of the upkeep of those houses, and they would at least unlock it and then leave a note, please lock after yourself, you know, help yourself to food and whatever's there.
Yeah.
So it was amazing. It's what I needed. It was very
Yeah.
quiet. Uh,
Yes.
it was very quiet, and some of it was miserable. But my personality, I think I like in a lot of sense the suffrage of things. So
Yeah. Yeah. I lived there in Spain for 4 years, so I got to hike it in all 4 seasons,
mm, yeah,
and that was phenomenal. And one of my favorite times was the winter
yeah,
because you people like you and we like to be alone. I mean we like to be around people too, but we need our alone time. And the winter is perfect for the
yeah,
Camino. And there's just enough people, but there's also not just enough people. You know, when and
exactly.
and the albergue owners, they are incredible, especially in the wintertime, because they will open up their place, before 1 o'clock, where when it's mid top season, it's usually 2 3 o'clock before they'll open the doors. um, but in the wintertime, because it's not very busy, they will open it up, and also they're trying to keep their business going. but
Yeah,
it's more, I don't think it's so much just trying to keep their business. That is a part of it, but they're there because of the Camino. They're there because of the pilgrims, and they want to minister to the pilgrims.
yeah,
They want to be of service to the pilgrims, and
absolutely.
especially in the wintertime. And oh, I think I hiked maybe twice in the winter.
Wow,
Two
wow.
times. Yeah, two of my 6 times was in the wintertime.
Did you stay at a
Yeah.
lot of churches?
What's that?
Did you stay at a lot of churches?
I did not. No, because when I was there, a lot of them were closed.
Okay. Yeah.
Even the small chapels that you get to see along the trail, they were also closed. Um, so for whatever reason, I don't know. This last time that last fall when I went, I got to stay in a monastery, which was really really neat. My buddy and I got to stay at one. We hiked the Primitivo, so very intense.
Yeah.
Most most physically challenged I've ever had experience of my life, because I'm not athletic like you are. I mean, I'm healthy and I'm fit, but I wasn't very athletic, and so growing up, and so this, mountains, steep mountains every single day, and then straight down. It
Yeah.
was intense, but I loved
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
and I'm so glad I did it.
Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah. I think yeah, all of that is just such a good character builder. And I think like, God, tries to put us into a place where if we're needing answers, looking for guidance, he has, you know, one of the things is like fasting,
Hmm.
you know, um there's a reason why suffering in some form helps us come out and flourish, and think of like nature and a butterfly from a worm to a beautiful thing, it says like it's a painful process for the butterfly to peel its layers and stuff. I think again, there's, especially during the Camino in the winter, there's a lot of uncomfortable that you have to put in trust, faith, and just get
Hmm.
out of your comfort zone of the known. That really helps you start peeling out some of the layers and dealing with
Yes.
some of the inner things.
The other thing I want to talk about is Morocco.
Hmm.
You don't have to go in too many details of it because I want people to get your book and read it. But that was, I guess, focus on when you arrived. Let's talk about when you first arrived.
Yeah, so when I arrived, one, I mean, I did a mistake, right? Like there's
Yeah.
just the do's and don'ts of travel. So for me, uh, you try to push the limit and push the edge, and get the most out of the time you're over there
Yes.
in scenario. And I was like, well, if I, do this and hop here and do this ferry, I could squeeze this city in. Against all my better judgment, it would have me landing in a different country, and it being Morocco at like midnight, basically, 1 a.m. basically, which don't arrive in a city without a reservation,
Right.
destination, uh, you know, for the first time at 1 a.m. Um,
Right.
Typically, we all know, it's not the best type of people out at 1 a.m. So, anyways, I arrive. Some people who I thought were my friends, on the way over there, we had been planning. I made some friends on the ferry. And they're like, "Oh, we don't have a place either." So I felt a little safe, like, cool. It's a guy, girl, and I'll tack on with them. In numbers, we'll be safe and we'll find a hostel.
Mm.
Like they were in the same boat as me. Um, but upon arriving, the ferry opens, floodgates open, everybody just swarms out. Some guy grabs me and is like showing me a badge and telling me, "You need to come with me." And I'm like, first off, I don't know why. Second, I don't, I'm like, just, I'm not going to go with anybody. I don't care what badge you show me that I don't know what's going on or why, without explaining. I'm not just going to follow along. So I pulled away from him, trying to find the other people. He keeps coming after me. And anyways, we get outside of the area of the ferry and we have a long path to go walk. I mean, talking about like just like a dock. Both sides are like one's a wall, one's a water. And you have maybe 200, 300 yards before you get to a customs building. Pass through that, you get into the city. But basically, you're at a boat, and you have a long, skinny dock before you get to the customs and the city. Um, anyways, you know, some cars were driving by, the cars that were on the ferries, some taxis were going, but everybody dispersed so fast. And this guy is in a tax, still trying to pull me along, and is like, "You need to get in a taxi." I'm like, "I don't even know you. Why are you still following me?" I'm gone. And he even said something like, "Are you with them? They're not your friends." Blah blah blah. He was like, and telling me basically that they were dangerous or that they weren't who I thought they were. Um, in my head, at that point, I was like, okay, that may be the case. So I'm going to take that in consideration. I still don't know who you are, so in my head, I was like, I'm just going to go by myself. I'm like, I'm not going with them. Don't even know where they're going.
Well,
Not
he
going.
just grabbed you, right?
He did. He,
Which was a completely different approach with the couple. The
yeah,
couple was more friendly, more inviting, the illusion of safety. And you get off the ferry, and this guy just grabs you. Like, I
right,
don't know that that's a real badge. I don't know who you are. And all of a sudden, I'm in fear where I
right.
wasn't in fear with the couple. So naturally, I would feel safer with the couple. That's really struck me as I read that.
Yeah, yeah, but at the same time, when he said you don't know who they are and this and that, my mind immediately was like, I have to consider that. That's right.
Mm.
I just met them. I know con artists, I know thieves, I know murderers are sneaky. So I processed all of that, saying completely taken away, I don't know them. And he
Mm.
could be right. I was kind of in fight or flight mode, and I was just like, but I also don't know you. So go solo. Started walking down the dock, and I see, what looked like little just shadows, but they started moving. I'm like, shit, these are uh, people along the thing. I'm kind of in between them. There's some people here, some people there. And I mean, you're talking about, 50 yards, you just see little specks of shadows, and they kind of do some flashlight signals to each other. I'm like, they're kind of communicating. Like, it's like, oh, hey, we got one. And that one would be me walking solo along this isolated bridge, dock, with nowhere to go. They can cut me off this direction. They can cut me off in the back here. So I'm like, huh. I was like, man, I'm pretty trapped. And I looked at down to the left. One's just a wall, and over here's water. And I was like, just black water. I was like, well, worst case scenario, I can go that way.
Mhm.
Worst case scenario. And in my head, I'm processing a million times, thinking, I'm going to lose my pack. If I don't undo it real fast, I'll just drown because it's going to take me down. So I'm going to lose all my clothes, going to lose everything in here. I'm just walking, processing all these different 800 different scenarios. Car comes up, the guy's in there, and he's really stressed and trying to show urgency. And he's like looking at the guys, looking at that. And he's like, you are not safe that way. You're not safe this way. He's like, you want to get in now. And finally, I had decided at the end, I was like, shit. I
Mm.
was like, well, there's a lot more guys there and there. I might have a chance with this one guy and the tech capture. I'm going to take my chance. So I jumped in. They peeled out and just basically went through the crowd. And the guys opened way, but he wasn't slowing down. The guys moved. And that was my introduction to Morocco.
I have a question, but I don't want you to answer it till later. But so keep it in mind for now. How did that experience shape who and what you do now? Because I feel like there's some sort of lesson there or connection there for you. But we'll get to that in a second. Um, when I also read your book, you had a lot of near misses. You had a lot of situations where God was really protecting you. I didn't have those experiences, and um, one, I wasn't out at 1 in the morning, but there were times you weren't out at 1 in the morning, and you still had some really close calls. And I think a lot of it is because I'm such a big guy. I mean, even after all the weight I've lost, I'm still a really huge presence. And you're 5'6", 5'7".
Oh man, you're cutting me down. No, you know what, Katie, my wife would love that. I always say, my hinge, I said 5'10".
5'10". Okay.
I am definitely 5'9", a
Five.
little.
Okay. You're considerably shorter than I am.
Yes.
and and I mean I'm 6'2", this big bulky guy, and people generally left me alone when I was traveling. They
Yep.
didn't want to mess with me. Even the shady characters, I would look at them and they'd walk the other way,
Yeah.
or they would size me up and go the other way. You know, and I know lot of people that I met along my travels, they're like, I wish I was as big as you were because I'd feel safer, you know. And I didn't understand that till I read your book. And
Ah,
again, reading all the near misses you had, because even though you're very athletic and very muscular, they still thought you were easy pickings.
yeah, yeah. I mean, definitely. I think that's a big thing is,
Yeah.
the predators look for, and that even happens in the animal kingdom. They don't go
Yes.
after the biggest, water buffalo.
Yeah.
They're going after, hey, that's, the little tiny baby or the
Yeah.
injured one.
Yeah. Yeah. Now the the unfortunate part for me was that I didn't meet as many people as you did my first time. Not only because being a big guy. Well, I was more quiet then. I was still really scared. Didn't know what the heck I was doing. But people didn't engage with me as easily as they engaged with you, and I think part of that was being a big guy, but also you put yourself out there. It's also part of who you are. I wasn't like that at the time. And so they probably saw me at times, and I can see it with a grumpy face, like, well, I don't want to go near this guy. I don't know what's gonna happen. So I see that now, you know.
And exactly. I think, again, as much as I've moved in the US and stuff like that, and I see people always moving to the city I live in, I'm in Nashville, and tons
Mhm.
of young people are flocking here.
Yeah.
Um, and, it's, we have to do our job of putting ourselves out there, right? And
Yes.
in all honesty, I'm an introvert, but everybody would be surprised by that. I'm like, no, it's hard for me.
No, you are.
But definitely you have to make yourself just like I see so many people talk about being single, and I'm like, are you on apps? No.
Mm,
I'm like, why?
mm,
Well, I'm like, no, it's if you're complaining about being single, you do anything and everything you can do that's to your excess. That's a tool. Um, so again, I think it's like God, just saying like, hey, I know you're lonely, but I can't help you if you're sitting in your room, if you're
yeah.
staying inside the house. Like you have to put yourself out there.
Hmm,
And
hmm.
to me, that's one thing I definitely was doing while I was out there and helped me. Every time I've moved, I, would find groups to push myself. And it's one of the most uncomfortable things. It never gets old. It's like waking up
Yes.
in the morning, never gets easier, you know. Um,
Yes.
Putting yourself out there never gets easier, but
Yeah. And that
you,
was part of my struggle, as you know, because I am very much an introvert, and I want to be left alone. I don't want to put myself out here. But as another friend said to me, Chad, you have a message, and in order for people to know who you are, you have to put yourself out there. Get yourself out there. And so there are days I don't want to do this.
oh yeah.
It is so scary, you know, because what if? What if someone from the past comes back and says, "Do you know what you did?" You know, we all have those stories, you know.
I think that's a great, great thing, and that's super relatable to anybody listening to this. So I think that's another thing that keeps people from pursuing their purpose or
Hmm.
bigger, is they are so afraid of their past, and it stinks because again, politicians are a great example, and it's like we have nothing but majority of liars. You almost have to be considered a liar to be in office. But
Yeah,
all these honest people don't want to run.
yeah,
All the good people don't want to run, and half of it's they're afraid of their past coming out. They don't want to that coming out. Bottom line is, all of us have that.
yes,
All of us.
yeah,
And to say you're, I'm not trying to downplay what people have gone through in their past,
right.
but to know everybody has that. God knows that. Jesus
Mhm.
knows that. Don't cast, the rocks at throw a rock at a glass house. Um, or the other saying, throwing the first stone, who
Yeah.
has not sinned. So yeah, I would hope people hearing that can really relate to you, Chad, where because
Mm.
that keeps us. That is the at his best, um, keeping us down from not
Yes.
fulfilling, not pursuing what we could be because we're just so
Mhm.
afraid of something that we don't even know would happen.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, so um, you are not um, in any sort of spiritual based business, correct? Is that safe to say?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I
So
led a small group for a while,
yeah,
but
yeah,
no, I am not in
yeah.
any spiritual. No.
And the purpose of my show is not to just talk with people who are in spiritually based business, because the part of my message is that we are all spiritual. We are all on a spiritual journey. We are all living through spirit, whether we are aware of that or not. Everything we do is spiritual. And so that's why I like to have a mix of people on my show, and you're one of them. But how has all of this shaped your life and what you do? Because I mean, your first reference is you are a Christian, and so you will use a lot of Christian language, and you go to church regularly, and that's your life, that's your path. But you also have a very spiritual um, belief towards, as I've gotten to know you. There's more of a spiritual than a doctrinal slant to the way you look at things. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. And so yeah, so how has your travels, especially the what happened in Morocco, how has this shaped Craig? How has this shaped the work you do and the people you interact with? Um, you're just naturally loving, and I'm sure that comes out in everything you do.
Um, let's back up to one of the first things you said early on, and
Okay.
and I'll correct you. You're like, you always knew, and you always had your stuff together.
Yeah. Not true.
Not true. And I think, in all honesty, I think like none of us have our stuff together.
Yes.
We
Yes.
all are trying to make it through this world as best as we can, uh,
Hmm.
with the cards we've been dealt with.
Yeah.
Uh, and, you know, unfortunately, I think a lot of it um, comes with selfish thoughts of me, right? And I
Hmm.
think, as a society, as a Christian, we're supposed to trust in faith that the bird doesn't gather a whole bunch of food. It just eats what it needs, and it finds, and it relies every morning it wakes up, it's going to find what it needs. God's going to give it what it needs. So I think, like, for me, definitely don't always have it figured out. I'm riding the waves, as they come. Sometimes it takes me back. I think how things have shaped me, I wouldn't say Morocco in general shaped me. I wouldn't say the
Hmm.
travels definitely helped, but one, uh, we're all clay, and God is constantly molding us and shaping us, but we also have to be moldable. Um, we're not if we're staying on the sideline. We're not
Yeah.
moldable if we're staying and not pursuing our purpose or listening to God.
Absolutely.
We're still that just glob, not being molded and not fulfilled. So I think, one, we have to have the want and desire. Something pushed
Hmm.
me out to always want more, to be curious, to be understanding of others. The Morocco experience was, um, like you said, there's other instances, and my life has had quite a few different instances of life and death, um, in tons of situations. Um, I think, for me, all of that is just having faith, having trust, that one part, trusting myself in those moments. It's, making the right decisions or figuring it out as you go. And I do believe God's given me a decent head on my shoulders. I do believe He's, given me a lot of gifts. And I have trust in those gifts, in the level-headed situations I've been in, or the situation staying level-headed. So a lot of it comes with just so much of trusting what God has given me, trusting that He has prepared me. Um, Somehow also thinking, man, I think we all have little guardian angels, and I'm like, I do believe there's a purpose for me, a higher purpose. There's just been too many situations. I'm like, you know, I've been very lucky.
Hmm.
So to me, I don't want to, we all have invincible syndrome here and there. And to me, I'm like, I know I could be taken any moment, but I do feel my work's not done. And there's a purpose for me, by no means does that make me braver. Um, um, but I think in a lack of better way, it helps me think and helps me not want to waste this life or my mental.
Mm,
Every time I've escaped death, every time I've seen death, um, I'm like, it just makes me appreciate life so much more, but it also makes me really not want to throw away the gifts God has given me to get out of that situation. It's like, man,
yeah.
I don't want to disappoint him. I don't want to let go. I want to pay it forward to other people.
Mm,
And I think that's also something that's really shaped me in my travels and everything is being more, you know, just sympathizing with others and their situation and thinking like, this world is hurting really bad right now. Um,
yeah.
and man, if even again, God, Jesus was one person, and he had a silent message, which first few miracles, he was telling people, don't go and tell anybody, and I think that's probably one of the best things we could do in this life is to help others, and don't do it for the limelight, but
Yeah.
it just we got to be taking care of each other and
Yeah.
spreading.
Yeah. Yeah. As you know, I hate following a script. I hate doing what society expects of me, and this show is also evident of that. And so I'm about to throw you a curveball. Um, you got your guitar in the back there.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's not
Yeah,
in
it's
now.
not in tune. Can you put it in tune for a moment and share something with us?
On this one, it is such a old one.
It's
Uh,
too old. Okay.
it's free to play.
If I had thought about it ahead of time, I would have said it. But I don't want to follow a script here. I just want to kind of go with the flow. But
No worries.
yeah, yeah. What as we come to a close, get ready to come to an ending here. What has been your biggest struggle? And um, for some people, that also is can relate to their dark night of the soul, if you're familiar with that term. Sometimes those two go hand in hand. Sometimes they don't. So pick and choose how you want to answer the question. But what's been your biggest struggle?
Um, Great question, but repeat that second part as
Your
opposed to dark.
your dark night of the soul.
And can you explain that?
Yeah. Explain in my words.
Yeah.
Dark night of the soul is that place you go to when you realize I've got to change something in my life. Life is not working. I don't know how to change it, but I am in the thick of it. I am in the dark abyss and I don't know how to crawl out.
Hmm. So, and then the original question,
What is
uh,
your biggest struggle?
yeah, the original question, what is my biggest struggle? I would say, oof, you know, um, myself. I mean,
Mm,
you
yeah.
know, there's, it's so easy to escape working on ourselves, focusing on ourselves, correcting ourselves.
Yeah.
It's so easy to latch onto that scapegoat, and that scapegoat being you, everybody else is
Mm,
wrong, everybody, the world, this. So easy blaming and redirecting our anger, our frustration, our resentment on others, at others. So my biggest struggle is to constantly be a student of learning, loving,
mm,
and focusing on myself. And focusing on myself meaning like again, just I can only do so much, but that's what I can do. I should be doing. I can. be in traffic and I don't need to honk out of anger. I don't need to flip
Mm,
the bird. I don't, so
yeah.
me, that's my biggest struggle is to stay on, my path to lead by example. Um, and that's not to say, look at me, look what I'm doing. It's just
Yes.
walk, lead by example, be a good human being, be a good Christian. Our world, um, our country is at such a weird place right now, and
Mm,
it's I'm doing all these street interviews for a political campaign, and it's so crazy. We're learning and seeing majority of people, like 90% of people, right and left, agree on things, but yet we're we're so divided on other topics, and I think
yeah.
like you know um, we're distracted. We're purposely distracted to be divided.
Hmm.
Uh, a house divided cannot stand. So certain people wanting to keep us divided, but if we focus on ourselves, what we can do to our neighbors, how we can help them, we focus and we start with ourselves. I think the world would be a better place. That's my biggest struggle, is to stay within, uh, I guess, stay within myself and say, hey, Craig, like, that's great. Of course, you have an opinion. You can give a million pieces of advice to other people that aren't asking. But how about you give yourself advice? How about you take your
Mm,
own advice? Stay focused on yourself.
right. Right. Oh my. Well, and as I teach people, in order to focus on yourself, in order to ask the right questions, we have to practice being being still. We have to invite peace into our lives, because when we are distracted by all the chaos, by all the noise, we can't hear the message we need for ourselves.
How many people do you think practice being still?
Mhm. I don't know, but not enough. And that's what I'm teaching.
How many people do you think can be still?
That's another question. It's not easy. When
And
you first start, it's not.
it's so needed. What you're doing is so needed. You know, oh, these things, they're so poisonous and powerful of
Mm,
deceiving, corrupting, and changing our frequencies, our the way our brain is wired. And what you're teaching is so important. And I, I'm a big runner. I'm on a board of a nonprofit running group, and we always have new people come out. And I see, when they get so discouraged because they come out and they're having a hard time their first time.
mhm.
And I would imagine you run into the same situation as people try to sit still and they just realize how hard it is.
Yes.
Oh, it's not for me. It's like, but do you think it would help you? Well, yeah, of course, if I run, if I sit in silence, it'll help me, but it's just too hard.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, everything takes practice. If you think it will help you, are you
Yeah.
practicing? Do you love yourself enough to practice?
Yeah. Well, when you start running, you're not able to run a mile right off the bat in most cases, especially if you're just starting to learn how to run. And just like practicing being in stillness, it takes practice, but you also have to tell your mind that I want to do this. I'm going to do something different. And then I also tell people it's working. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. If you're a nervous wreck, or if you're saying I can't get still, I'm going, it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. That's step one. And that is normal. But when we are still, we are in the sacredness of spirit. We are in the sacredness of God. And from this sacredness, we can create anything, we can be anything, and we can heal anything in our lives. And so As we come to a close, um, I'd like to invite you and those watching the show to just take a couple moments and be still together. The more we practice being still together, the more we will see change in humanity. We will see change in our world. And we don't need a lot of people to do it. We just need a handful. And
I
so the last couple of moments, um, I invite our audience and I invite you, Craig, to just be still and take a moment to just focus on our breath and our breathing, the sacredness of our breath. And I'll bring us back.
awesome.
So I may have some words, I may not, but we'll see how it goes. So as we open our eyes and come back together, I invite you to bring the stillness with you and to be stillness in every part of your life. Craig, I want to thank you. I love you, my brother. This has been wonderful. And definitely will have you back down the road. And we'll try to get some music out of you.
Yeah, I appreciate what you do, man. It's needed. The world needs more of you, and let your light shine. Love you too, brother.
All right. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll catch you in the next episode.